Hello, boys and girls. Today it is chapter 336 of My Hero Academia. Yes, that is right. It's here. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the other chapter review out, but hopefully this one works. So, what did we find out today? Well, today we learned that My Hero Academia is really, really good. Yeah, so we had a build-up of the new UA trader, and as it turns out, it wasn't Higakure or Invisigirl. It was Aoyama. I just, man, you know what? This was a much better twist than this was a much better twist, and as Higakure, this is the literal most important thing she's done this entire manga. So I'm kind of disappointed that she didn't become the traitor, because she ratted Aoyama out to Midoriya, and you know what? Well, I wouldn't say ratted out. I'm more just you get what I mean. So, yeah, Aoyama is the traitor. Which, look, I gotta be honest, it's so much better, my guy. We saw this flashback. We met his parents, which conveniently we never saw before. It's almost as if this was not foreshadowed, but you know, there was some plan behind it. And Aoyama not being able to control his quirk, that was brought up about how, the minute One For All gave him his quirk, it was basically already over. But on to the lighter stuff. We saw a cute little moment with Uraraka getting embarrassed about her, about Ida being like, oh, that speech was great and helped everyone calm down, and all that. We also find out, Bakugo's new move, Cluster, and Todoroki, Midoriya literally says feels like a completely different person, being able to evenly output fire and ice, which seems at the same time, and Bakugo as Cluster. So, you know, since it feels like we're going into the final arc and there's not that many villains left, I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening next. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Now, time to get into, now that I've covered the soft bits, back to Aoyama. This is great. There is no punctuation needed. It is fantastic. I am so happy that Horikoshi decided to do this, because this is exactly what I wanted. And you know what? I was really happy when, they, you know, showed Higakure, but as it turns out, she was spying on them. She was spying on the traitor. Now, there is one thing about this chapter that I don't like, which is her parents are here, but like that, or his parents are here talking to him. But then again, how else were we gonna get this exposition? I mean, it could have been a cool moment if Higakure was like, I've been studying this class since the moment USJ started. I was trusted by, you know, so I was trusted by the principal, and now, you know, that's all it is. Now, personally, Aoyama is not evil. He actively looks down on himself, and even refers to himself at the end of it as, let me repeat his exact line. I helped them, Midoriya-kun. I am a scumbag villain. Now, this proves that he feels very guilty, and he was actually cheering for All Might because he heard one of another quotes. When All For One was captured at Kamino, I mistakenly thought that this would be my chance, that I could finally be like everyone else. So, Aoyama wanted All For One to be defeated. He is being forced into this. Now, it is believed that what I got from this is that his parents will be killed if he does not do what All For One says, which, you know, I can buy. He's got some ridiculous quirks. There's probably like a bomb plant like Yoshikage Kira's, or okay, I know we already saw that in the My Villain Academia arc, the woman who basically had Killer Queen, but you know, there can be multiple types of quirks, and also mixing quirks together can give you different results. So there's no reason he shouldn't be able to. So that's what I think. I think because right now they're in the USJ. They snuck past security somehow. Probably because they're all family, and you know, like the Class 1A students are allowed like not free roaming around, but they can roam around a little bit and talk to their kids, obviously, because, you know, that's kind of how the school tends to operate. Now, what we actually found out is Aoyama was born without a quirk. So, this is what everyone has been saying. Aoyama is very similar to Midoriya, and seeing this path, he was given a quirk by All For One. So, and now he's basically fighting on a side he doesn't want to, and seeing him in such, he was in a tearful state this entire chapter, pretty much. He is emotionally devastated to an extent where I wonder how this is going to affect him later. And is he, like, Midoriya already knows. Now, the biggest question is Midoriya going to, how is he going to react? Because, believe it or not, Midoriya has clearly shown signs of development. I think so, 100%. So, Midoriya has shown signs of development, and he has always been angry, despite how he's portrayed. Like, you know, okay, you know how Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, he gets really angry at demons sometimes, but then he understands them after? Imagine that, but Midoriya just straight up does not forgive the villains. Like, for some reason, the only one he forgives is Shigaraki. Like, he had no problem throwing hands with Muscular. He didn't try to talk him down or anything like that. He just wanted to beat this guy because he was extremely dangerous. Now, Aoyama is different because Midoriya will clearly see that a little bit of Aoyama is in Midoriya, but he's also been portrayed in a very different light in this arc, not this arc, but this chapter, where his face has been covered in shadows. Not as in, like, it's not like, you know, the trope in anime where he has, like, there's shadow, his hair is kind of like shadowing his eyes and he's about to do something really cool, like Luffy one-shotting Bellemere, or Luffy using Conqueror's Haki at Fishman Island, or Luffy getting enraged, or Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon, or yeah, so can you tell I'm a One Piece fan? But something else that I would like to bring up is the shading is really, really good this arc. And I am very, well, not this chapter especially. The shadows are very good. There's a really crazy sense of dread. Like, there's a panel where it's Midoriya in the light covered in shadows, and Aoyama in shadows but covered by light. It's a very good contrast. Also, Horikoshi's background in the woods. Normally people like to complain about his the basic backgrounds, which is true, but this forest that they're in is really well designed, and I'm very happy. Now, I'm wondering if Hagakure is just going to stand there or if she's going to go tell the teachers. But I, I would kind of prefer if Midoriya had a one-on-one talk. But I don't think he's gonna get that because there's definitely gonna be a scene where Midoriya is like, "Oh no, we forgive you," or he might not, and Aoyama might straight up be found out and thrown in not in jail, but in juvie for a little bit or however long and suffer consequences. Because the thing is, Aoyama's in a state of limbo where if Horikoshi really wants to, he can kill him. He can. He's killed characters before. Midnight honestly has just, she obviously had less screen time and less presence than Aoyama, but if Horikoshi really wants to kill someone, Aoyama, and like enrage Deku even more, that's a good way to do it. Because right now, I notice a lot of the character deaths or near-death experiences are for people we don't really care about. Like, I really like Stars and Stripes, but I would never say that her death was like, oh, so impactful, or anything like that. But it was handled, I think it was handled well. And also something that I found very interesting was they're not even referencing Stars and Stripes. So Bakugo was talking because Mineta and Kaminari were talking about how the villain's two greatest aces are super weakened right now. And then Bakugo pulls up points. And one of them was... It was about how... I'm trying to find it right now, but basically what the panel says is Bakugo is talking about how they got in their decisive battle with the Americans. They did not. Shigaraki was postponed, and it's alright, but not something I'm too happy about. They didn't mention Stars and Stripes at all, but they were like, oh, this battle happened, and yeah, interesting. And I'm just sort of worried that Stars and Stripes is literally going to be this one character who showed up and died, and it really, if that happens, I feel like she's going to be a waste. Granted, there's still hope for our other My Hero Academia woman who almost died, Lady Nagan. Remember her? Oh, really? You don't? Well, damn, that sucks. She's still alive. She might come back in the final arc. I think we're definitely heading there, and a lot of people are talking about how rushed it is. I kind of understand, because series do run for a long time. Now, granted, it's hard to say that in this day and age, we don't know because currently, the only long-running shonen right now, I would say, is probably One Piece, because Demon Slayer was 200 chapters, and the rest are ongoing, but the only one is Black Clover, Midori, and Hunter x Hunter, the long-running shonen it is. But yeah, consistent shonen chapters seem to be becoming less and less, and it feels like we're getting close to the end. Because if you remember correctly, I think both Bleach and Naruto had around 700 chapters. So, you know, taking that into account, My Hero probably won't surpass them unless there's another time skip. But I really doubt that. People have always been considering a time skip in My Hero. Personally, I think Horikoshi, when reading this, What I'm really happy about is it feels almost as if a fire has been lit back inside him, if that makes sense. He seems to be putting a lot of passion into this, where, you know, he was definitely putting in work and effort, but now it feels like he's enjoying writing the manga a lot more. That's the vibe I get. I don't really have any interviews to back this up, but that's just how I feel reading this. Like, it feels like he's excited for this and putting in more effort, and, you know, doing new stuff like with the shadowy portrayals of Deku, and, you know, Aoyama with the scratch lines, which is, you know, nothing new, but to this extent, I don't know. And also the artwork is still as good as ever. Now, personally, this chapter only did one thing slightly wrong, and it was his parents. But I don't think that that's really a problem, because he wouldn't have, unless Midoriya cornered him and was like, "Hey, why did you betray us?" And Higakure had like actual hard evidence, and then he told this story. But this was kind of a more organic way, and it also kind of leads me to feel that his parents, they come off as both intense and really selfish, but also selfless at the same time, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't at all, but they keep encouraging him to do this bad thing, and they did say that they regret their actions, but then again, they're also trying to condemn this child to their death, all these children to their deaths, and civilians. And it's like, we're definitely in a gray area right now, because, okay, we have sympathy for Aoyama because we know him. We've never met his parents before, and frankly, it just feels like, oh boy, they messed up, and All For One gave him a quirk, and now their leashes are in them. But then again, like, I kind of wish Horikoshi, I hope he explains this later down the line, because his parents are in UA. They are in the building right now. If they go to the principal and say, "Hey, this happened, we need witness protection," he's not going to refuse them. He might put them in custody, but unless they have like a bomb or anything around them. Although one thing that did pop into my head while I was reading it is maybe Aoyama has a sibling, and they might be the ones like held hostage or something, because right now it just feels like he got his quirk, and the parents are in UA. They can just bail. There doesn't seem to be anything stopping them, except for the fact that, like, maybe All For One is controlling it, or they talk about how they were already under his influence and there was no escape from him, but then he lost the fight and in the jail. So what happened? Did they breathe a sigh of relief, or were they still under? Were they still betraying him at the time? Like, it's just a very. It's the parents are the only problem, and they just make me kind of pat my head and go, I wonder, or hit my head and go, I wonder what's going on. Now, Aoyama, spot on. Midoriya, spot on. Artwork, spot on. There was a little bit of exposition, but that's not something that, you know, I'm gonna dock a whole point off of, or take into consideration. Like, it's not gonna lose, you know, value because we found out that now things are a 50-50 chance. Also, Jiro's interactions with Bakugo in the beginning during the training was pretty adorable. We saw Afro Deku again, which, you know, I don't know why he just doesn't use that against All For One. The series would have been over. Don't you know, guys? The Afro makes you stronger. So, yeah. There were some cute interactions. Aoyama, he's definitely... Look, if I'm going to rank Class 1A, he was already pretty close up there, because, like, he was already higher than the people I don't care about. Like, I gotta be honest, I don't care about Jiro at all. or Higakure or Sugarman. I like Kirishima. He's pretty cool. Ochako. I don't really care for Tsuyu. She's just a background character who can't really annoy you. Granted, she does have some good episodes, like those filler episodes. I do enjoy them. So I wouldn't, but Aoyama, as soon as we started getting into his backstory a little more and finding out about who he is, I definitely started liking him more, and that's why I think this chapter is going to hit a lot harder than, say, if Higakure was the traitor. It's just that it's taking the potential of a character and building upon it, rather than taking a character who didn't have anything and giving them something. So it's all about what you really prefer. And honestly, I like the fact that Aoyama is the traitor a lot better. And I really want to see how he interacts with Deku. Because will Deku, be nice to him, or will he yell and scream? Which I know doesn't sound like Midoriya, but he's clearly drawn more aggressively in this forest. I don't know what he did, but as soon as he entered the forest, I don't know, maybe some snake bit him in the leg or something, because he looks angry. Maybe he got whacked by too many branches while on the way here, and he's just mad. He's not on the scale of Bakugo from season 2, where he's threatening to kill people, but he clearly looks very agitated compared to how he normally is, and even how he was last chapter. Now, I'm not saying he's about to break Aoyama's spine, but I can clearly see, I am confident that there will be Midoriya yelling at Aoyama, but I don't think he's going to physically hit him, because I know that's a thing they like to do in anime, where it's oh, you lost your way, I'm gonna punch you in the face, and then you'll realize that you're my Nakuma. On Whole Cake Island. I don't think there's gonna be anything like that, but Midoriya is definitely gonna yell, and he clearly is shaken by this. On top of that, I think Midoriya sees a little bit of himself in Aoyama, which is going to be really fascinating to explore, and I'm really excited for that. So, if I'm going to give this a ranking, it is time for 8 out of 10. No. 8.5 out of 10. That's right, boys. 8.9 out of 10. Or no, 8.5. Actually, yeah, 8.5. This is the setup for the best shot, I think. Right now, we've had 2 chapters of setup for this traitor plot, and right now it is going to build up, and I think it is going to be fantastic, and I am so happy to see what's going to go down with it. Now, setup, perfect. So, 8.5 out of 10. And if he keeps up the pace and then gives us more character interactions, I think the next chapter will get a 9. I gotta be honest. And the fact that I'm considering this is fantastic, because honestly, my hero seems to only be going up. So, if any of you guys want to subscribe to the channel, we do more content like this. Hopefully I got some other chapter reviews out this week, like One Piece and One Punch Man. I'm gonna try to do both of those. And yeah, so subscribe, like, comment your opinions. How did you feel about the chapter? And that's all, everybody. So enjoy your day or night, and have a great one, boys.